yesterday. Okay, so good morning, everybody. This is today is a Tuesday. Hope everybody have a great morning this morning. And so we're going to talk about today a new lesson called adding integers with the same signs. So this time we will not use the number lines for the rest of the classroom. And we're going to learn how to use calculators when we add negative numbers. Okay. So today's objective is I can add rational numbers with the same sign by adding the absolute values of those numbers and using a common sign. So we need to pay attention to common sign when we are not using the calculator, okay, for same sign numbers. So about the then, hope everybody finished the then. And if you click this box, it's going to take you to then. The first question is again order of operations from middle school math. It's like which one you need to do first, raising exponent, division, subtraction, and addition. And feel free to use a calculator if you know how to type these numbers on a calculator, because you're allowed to use from this point. And tell me how many cups in 2.5 gallons. So if you remember, in a gallon there is a 12 cups, so you can figure out by that one. And the last one, it's about absolute value of -5. So just pay attention to these options. Actually, there is the two correct answers. The one is the result of -5. So I mean absolute value of -5, the result. And the second one is the way that you can use a parentheses, like this kind of parentheses is absolute value, or square parentheses, or like straight parentheses. So one of them is representing absolute value. So see if you can still remember about what it looks like an absolute value of -5. Okay. And so today's lesson again, adding same sign integers. So the first one is like both numbers are positive signs, like both numbers are positive numbers. So represent the sum of 3 plus 5 using an arrow on a number line. So I'm going to do this one more last time. So if you see like first number is 3, second number is 5, and both of them are positive, that's why we call it same sign. Okay. And if you use like the first number is 3, starting at 3, you need to starting at 0. I apologize. You need to go to the 3. So this is your final destination. And your second number is 5, which is you ended at 3. So you're starting at 3 this time and go 5 units to the right. Okay. Let me count 3. The 5 will be you're ending at 7, at 8. I'm sorry. So this was the how adding positive numbers on the number line. You keep going to this direction. And so the first question is, how long is the arrow that represents 3? So the arrow, how long means like the length of the arrow. If you see the number of blocks between 0 and 3, there is a 3 blocks. So which means it will be 3 units or 3 blocks. And which direction? It's a right. The reason why it's right, it's because a 3 is positive number. Okay. And second question is, how long is the arrow that represents 5? So if you look at the second arrow, the purple arrow, and starting at 3 and ending at 8, so when we talk about the absolute value of 5, we need to pay attention the length of the arrow, which is, this is a 5 blocks or 5 units. So that means, so it's going to be 5 units, the length of the purple arrow, and it's going to the right side because the 5 is positive number. Okay, which direction? And it's in the right direction. And next question. So what is the sum? The sum was the final destination. So this is the sum, and this is how you model it, and the ending at 8. So that will be your sum. So the sum is 8. You're ending at 8 because, okay. So next one, If you were to represent the sum using an arrow, how long would the arrow be and what direction would it point? So let's say your sum is 8, and you're trying to represent that sum with an arrow. So that means you need to start at 0, right? If you're trying to represent the sum itself without other two numbers. So that means, so this is my green arrow, so I can represent it starting at 0 until 8, and so it will be 8 units. So the sum will be 8 units, 8 blocks starting at 0. And which direction? It's a right, because the 8 is positive number and it's going to the right. Okay. Next, so what is the relationship between the arrow representing the number on the number line and the absolute value of the number? So relationship between arrow representing the number on the number line. So absolute value of a number is actually the length of the arrow. It doesn't matter positive or negative. You always represents the distance or the length of the arrow. Okay. So the answer is for this question is absolute value of the number is the length of the arrow. This is how it related with the number line. So the number line actually visually you can see it. You can see the number between the length of the arrow, okay? And how long it's far away from 0. So this is the relationship between the number on the number line with the absolute value of that number. And next thing, so let's see. Okay, this time you're gonna see we're going to add two numbers, but both numbers are negative this time. Okay, so the first number is -3 and second number is -5, and it's the same sign integers again. Same sign means both numbers are negative signs. Okay, so what happens in this case? So we need to represent -3 and -5 on a number line now this time. So again, if we start with first number -3, so we're going to start at 0 till -3. So -3 is ending at -3. Okay, starting at 0 till -3. So the second number is -5, which means you need to starting at -3 and 5 units to the left. 3, this is 5. And your final destination would be your result. So if you keep adding negative numbers over and over again, your arrows are keep going left and left and left, and you're going like so far away from 0. So that's the point. If you keep adding two negative numbers, your arrows keep going on the left. Okay, and let's see the questions. So how long is the arrow that represents -3? And how long is the arrow that represents -5? And what is the sum? Let's talk about this. And -3 is at 3 units long. I'm not saying -3 because when we talk about the length of the arrow, the distance of the arrow, we always say it like number itself, but it says which direction. So then you need to explicitly say that it's left direction. You're going to the left. And the second thing, it's the same thing, starting at -3 till -8. So the arrow -5 will be like 5 units. Which direction? Again, because of it's going to the left. Because of its negative, it's going to the left. Okay. So you keep going left and left. So what is the sum? Again, the final destination, the number that we circled, it's a -8. And next thing is, if you were to represent the sum using an arrow, how long would that arrow be? And it's the same thing like we did on the other example. Yes, you can represent the sum with a single arrow. So starting at 0, let me write this time orange. So your final destination is -8. So how long that would be? It will be 8 blocks, but this time it's left. Okay. So, and the last question is, what is the relationship between the arrow representing the number on the number line and absolute value of the number? It's the same thing. So the number is -8, but when we talk about the absolute value of that sum or that number, we always pay attention the value without direction. we only pay attention the length of the arrow. So what is the length of the arrow? It's 8 units. Okay, that will be the answer for this question. And the relationship is the number might be a positive or negative, regardless of its sign. The absolute value of that number will be the value of the number itself. Okay, and so these are the relationship between keep adding negative numbers or same sign numbers, and in the previous example it was both of them are positive numbers, which is if you keep adding negative numbers, the arrow keep going on the left side. If you keep adding on the positive numbers, the arrow would keep going on the right side. Okay, so next thing is without using a number line this time. Oh, by the way, so I think we answered the last question. Do you think that adding two negative numbers will always give you a smaller negative number? Yes, it's because you keep going on the left side. Every time when you add negative numbers, you're going like a couple more units far away from zero. That's why it's getting like smaller negative number. Okay, and so the rule for adding same sign numbers, same sign would be both positive or both negative. So add rational numbers with the same sign by adding the absolute values. Means like without thinking those signs, like if it's negative, don't think about the negative sign, just to add the numbers, adding the absolute value of those numbers and using the common sign. If both numbers are positive, put the positive result. If both numbers are negative, put the negative sign in front of your result. Okay, so these are the two steps that you need to remember for adding same sign numbers. Okay, and so let's do the practice together. This time it's a we do part. I want you to write it down, your thoughts, in the chat box. I'm going to leave it open on the side so I can see it. If you feel that you don't want to type in everyone, just type like privately. Okay, so the first question is, so you need to tell me the result, whether it's positive or negative. I'm not asking about what is the like number result. I'm asking, so your result will be positive number or negative number. That's it. Okay, don't worry about the value. So when you have two negative numbers, when you add two negative numbers, do you think the result is positive or negative? Could you type in a chat box? Okay, I have a couple. Yes, it is a negative. So when you add two numbers, result will be negative. Okay, and for the next question, yes, it is negative. Thank you. So the next question is, when you add two positive numbers, do you think the result will be positive or negative result? Yes, it is. Thank you so much. It is positive because both numbers are positive. Thank you. And next question is, if you add -6 and -3, let's see. What do you think? If you add two negative, yes, it is. Thank you so much. Easy, right? Okay, awesome. So let me put it right here, and this will be negative. And how about the next one? -1 plus -11. Yes, it is a negative. Thank you. Yes, it is also negative because both numbers are negative. And the last one, when you add like 3 positive numbers, do you think the result is positive or negative? Positive. Yes, it is positive. Thank you. It doesn't matter how many numbers you add, but if you pay attention for each one of them, if the signs are the same, that means the result will always as a positive result. Thank you so much. Yes, it is. So this is the kind of practice you also see in your IXL practices this week. So that's why it's really important. Without knowing the sum, you need to first know the result will be either positive or negative, like one of them, okay? So the next practice is actually, oh, by the way, there is one more. So the last one is also -20 plus -15, since both of them are negative sign numbers, which is negative. Thank you. Thank you, Mikhaila. Yeah, you got it. So next one. So let's find the sum this time. Like first, we're gonna say the result is positive or negative, and the second, you need to tell me the sum of those two numbers. Okay. So what do you think? Just type in a chat box. So what do you think the result is because of 15 is positive number, 7 is positive number, result is also positive. Yes, and what is the result? Thank you so much. Yes, it is a 22. Yes, so I'm going to say equal 22. And what do you think the second one? So what is the sign of the number when you add this, and what is the number value? Yay, you got it. It's a negative 20. So here's how you do it. 4 plus 16 is 20. Since both numbers are negative numbers, so you need to put the same sign. Okay, thank you so much. You got it. So the next one is, it's getting like bigger and bigger. So that's why we need to know how to add numbers without using a number line, because numbers will getting like a huge numbers, and you cannot find like that much like on a number line. So that's why we need to know this time without using a number line how to add numbers. Okay, so thank you so much. Yes, it is a negative 72. So because of both numbers are negative, so you need to put negative sign, and 18 plus 64 is, hold on, is it a 72? Can somebody correct me? 82. Thank you. Yes, it is 82. So, okay. And I think there is one more example, the last one. As you see, the numbers are getting bigger and bigger. So feel free to use a calculator if you have a calculator on your hand. Okay. What do you think? So the result will be negative, and negative 328. Yes, it is. Thank you. So the result would be negative number. So 5 plus 3 is 8, somebody said. 2 plus 0 is 2, and 1 plus 2 is 3, 328. Yes, it is. Thank you. So, and this is the one that we did it like mentally. Now, let me show you what it looks like on the, when you have a calculator, okay? So I'm gonna this time share my Elmo, and let me stop sharing just a second because I need to show you what it looks like. So the first number was let me do it in this way. Okay, so there is two different kind of calculators. So it doesn't matter which calculator you have, but during this school year, I'm going to teach you these two. Like, it's very similar because both of them are TI calculators, Texas Instruments. So as you can see, it's a TI 30, by the way, different versions. It doesn't matter, but the functions are the same. And you may have different, like not TI calculators, different calculators. It's okay, but you need to know your own calculator. But in this math class, I'll teach these two, okay? And then let me show you now how to add two negative numbers in both of these calculators. So let me use this one because you cannot see what I type. And so let me show you on this one. So like adding positive number is easy for both of them, right? Just type the numbers and click the add and type the second number and you'll get the result. But how to add negative numbers is sometimes like for negative numbers, as I told you earlier, if you use a parentheses, it would be better. But for calculators, because calculator can detect it like quickly without seeing the parentheses. So for example, in this calculator, let's do the adding two negative numbers. So did you see this on the bottom? It says plus and minus, which means like you're switching the sign of the number. For example, for this calculator, you need to tell the sign after you type the numbers. For example, I'm going to type -6. I'm going to type 6 first and switch its sign. So it's going to be -6. And I'm going to add to the -6. And then I'm going to add -7. So I'm going to type the 7 first, and then I'm going to switch the sign. So I'm adding -6 plus -7. And when you hit the equal sign, you're going to end up with -13. Okay, so because of both numbers are negative sign, you ended up with negative result. It's a -13. And for this calculator, it's slightly different. If you have this one, TI-30X2S, or like looks like this. So this time you need to tell to the calculator the sign of the number in advance. For example, so did you see this negative sign inside of parentheses? So this is how you can remember. Always try to put the negative numbers inside of parentheses, and calculator is also telling you that. So this time you're going to type the negative sign first. So -6 and plus -7. So did you see this? It's like it's telling you like obviously -6 plus -7, and when you hit the enter, it's going to tell you the result. It's a -13. Okay, so for both calculators, it's very good calculators. The only thing is you need to remember that if you're using this one, you need to tell the negative sign after you're typing the number. But if you're using this second calculator, you need to tell the sign first before you're typing the numbers. Okay. So let me check the last question on the practice. So let's clear out. Okay, and let's clear out. So 205 negative plus 123 negative. So it's going to be -328. And the same thing for this calculator, but this time you need to tell the sign in advance. So -205 plus -123, and when you hit the enter, you're going to end up the same result, -328. Okay, so this is how you're adding negative numbers using a calculator. So we're going to practice a lot, and feel free if you have any assignment on the Khan Academy or IXL or any other like MobiMax, like when you add these negative numbers, feel free using your calculators, either on a like this kind of calculator, or if you know how to use a calculator on the Desmos, you can use that one too on the Chromebooks. Okay, so now we're going to go back our lesson. Let me share my screen again. Desktop. Here we go. So we did these questions, and let's see what we have in the next. So the next thing is we're going to practice this. So there is a no assignment today because in the intervention class there is one Mobi assignment. So you can do that. It's the same thing, adding negative numbers. So I don't want to give like a lot of assignments in a day, so that's why. So we're going to skip today with no assignment. But make sure you're practicing how to use calculators, okay? And then for the recap, for the conclusion of today's lesson is when you add two integers with the same sign, so you just need to add the numbers itself, like adding absolute values means like without considering, without thinking about the sign of those numbers, you need to add the just number itself. So absolute values means number itself, and then putting the common sign. Whatever those numbers are positive, you need to put the positive in front of your result. If the numbers are negative, you need to put a negative sign in front of your results. Okay, so before you go today, I'm going to ask you again to finish up this exit ticket. If you click this, it's going to take you to exit ticket, and but this time, as you see, like I didn't put any number lines, so you need to try to add using your calculators, or try to add like using a scrap paper or something without using a number line. So this one is like a little bit like harder, you may find it, and the last one is like assessing whether you're ready for today's classroom or not when you participate in this class. Okay, and tell me what you learned for today. One thing I want to know that like you're saying it. And so, by the way, I started to grade your assignments on the Google Classroom. So I know a lot of you like participating in the Zoom sessions and attending very well, everything. So, but missing your do nows and exit tickets, which means like what I'm trying to say is like you're not getting like full credit because of you're missing your DINs and exit tickets. This is how I grade with my class notes. Okay, so if you click the rubric in each assignment, it's right here. It's going to tell you. So for the last one, it's actually the Zoom sessions that you're attending and participating, for example, and turning in your assignment. So full credit, you're getting 10 points by participation, completion, and attendance. So, and exit ticket, it's 5 points if you turn it in. and trying your best. And late credit is like, for example, you turn it in after the due date. For example, today's class notes due is Wednesday. If you turn in over the weekend before I grade your assignment, so you're gonna get like lose 1 point, okay? And the same thing for DIN. If you're missing your DIN, which is 0, unfortunately, and if you're turning in after the due date, it's gonna be 4 points. And if you're turning in before the due date, it's gonna be 5 points. So make sure, like these are the 25% of your participation grade, 25% of your participation grade, and completion and participation attendance is 50% of your participation grade, okay? So please keep in mind, this is important because I want to see that you're attending and you're listening and you're trying your best, because these are the informal assessments. It will be very good for everybody if you're trying, like getting right answers. But when I grade these, as I said, I'm grading your effort. I'm grading your the way you're trying your best. Okay.